So quiet. Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 27th at 6:10 p.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. Thank you all for being here, councilors. Thank you. Sorry, I started you, councilor. It wasn't purposeful. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Present.
Here.
Yes. Here. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is approval of the agenda. I just had a thought that maybe we may have some public comments on our presentation, so I was thinking maybe we could move public comments to after the presentation. In case anyone wants to comment on that, if you all feel like that would be appropriate.
To approve the agenda with the change of the public comments after the presentation.
Motion by Councilwoman Gallegos, second by Councilman Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Ayes have it. Next item is approval of the minutes, regular council meeting, August 13th, 2024.
Mayor, I do have one, I guess you could call it concern on very last matters from mayor and council members. The update on the project in regards to the slivers that are located on North Kiowa. This is an ongoing project currently. I guess, can we specify that there's slivers of property that, because if I'm reading it and I wasn't at the meeting and I don't know what's going on, I think it's appropriate to just add slivers of property in there, something to clarify it a little bit better. That change.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Gallegos, second by Councilman Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Next item is our presentation, comprehensive plan from Site Southwest.
It has been Allie who sent that one, so A. Caskey, yeah, sorry. I know, it was Allie this time. And started here. Good evening, Council, Mayor. It's good to see you all again, and thanks for having us and making space for us during your meeting this month. We're excited to be back here in Questa and hoping to share with you a point-in-time capture of what we've heard so far, not just from the last couple days, but from the last several months as we've been working on the plan. And we have some draft goals and actions to share with you. And so the purpose of this visit was really to take these back to the public and understand what were the highest priorities for them. How should we begin to rank these, because we can't do it all. And so how do we understand those priorities as they exist against each other, but also over a period of time? What are those things that we can most feasibly do in 1 to 3 years versus what are the things that we can do further out? So this evening for you and for the public, we'll be sharing just a quick highlight to capture what we've done up until now. We'll move through that rather fast and then talk a little bit more about what we've heard over the last couple days. So in addition to the presentation that we have up here, I know you can't read this, it's a little too far away, but wanted to share a little bit of some of the boards that we used this week to discuss these things with the community members that we saw, and how we received their comments and how we're going to use those to begin to refine our ideas. Before we do that, jump me to the next slide, Valerie? Sure. I apologize, I should introduce myself again. I'm Danny Wilson, I'm a planner with Site Southwest. It's been a few months, so I apologize for not making that refresher. And then I have Allie Caskey with me, who's also a planner and has been really integral to making this happen and doing a lot of the outreach for this project. So this one's more of a high-level overview for the public who's here tonight. We want folks to really understand the importance of this plan. It's kind of the highest level of planning that happens within communities where you're trying to take stock of everything in a community, whether it be the issues and challenges a community faces or the assets and opportunities that can be built upon to achieve the collective goals that community members have and that leaders are tasked with bringing forth for the community. It's a long-range plan, so we're looking 20 to 30 years into the future. These things are not going to happen overnight. And ultimately, this is a really important piece that the village takes with it when it goes to seek funding and other resources for projects and things that the community deems important. Next slide. And this is a really important piece for us. So we want to talk about some of the tactics we've used, how we've tried to engage folks, both leaders and staff and just regular community members, business owners and the like. We've had a few site visit days where we've been able to meet people face to face where they go on a daily basis. So for example, today we were at the senior center for a while for lunch, sharing lunch with folks there. We went to the post office. I think at the optimal time, there were so many people there between 10 and 11 a.m. We were at Cynthia's Real Market earlier this morning. And then this afternoon, we went over to the library and finished up our day at the Wildcats Den. So each place trying to meet people where they are so that we're not just having these traditional public meetings that often you see with I should say that we did have a public meeting last night, so we want to offer people to be able to engage with us in that space as well. In between our last community visit, which was around Memorial Day weekend, and this community visit, we've been doing lots of phone calls. So just not underestimating the value of having one-on-one discussions with people who are true experts on these different subjects, whether it's trying to navigate bringing more housing into Questa, or folks who have been working on trail planning over the years, folks who are leaders in agriculture and trying to cultivate local ag here. We've had many conversations. Allie's had many conversations on that front. And then ultimately, all of this should be building toward and informing these draft goals and actions that we're presenting here tonight. Go ahead and jump to the next slide. And so this is kind of just a slide that highlights some of those things that we heard back in May when we were asking people high-level questions about, first, what do you love? So what are those things that we should preserve and uphold and continue into the future? And then also, what would you change about Questa? What seems to be lacking? Where could we grow as a community? And ultimately, what is the village responsible for that we can build on? And where does it need to look to partners to achieve these things? And so we heard things like, people really value the land here. People value water here and the ability to get outdoors and have these quality experiences with their family here. Having more spaces that facilitate that. And you already see the investments that are being made. You all know the village is making into Questa Park and other community spaces downtown in the core of the improvements that are happening there. These are things that people really think are important and we want to continue to do. In terms of things that people would like to change, we did hear from a lot of folks who just indicated that housing is, I think, one of, if not the issue, one of the biggest issues. Navigating having affordable rental and places for people to move into and stay is really important. No, it's okay. Just wanted to make sure. And then also we heard a lot about some infrastructure improvements that people thought could take place. So at the senior center, for example, a lot of seniors can't drive. And so navigating that, having either transportation options, whether that's, somebody who can pick them up and take them to an appointment, having consistent public transit. The blue bus is great, but it doesn't meet all of people's needs. And then being able to just walk and bike safely through town. That was a concern that people had and thought could be improved upon. And the village is already taking steps, I think, in the right direction and having conversations with NMDOT to open up that conversation because they're responsible for the two primary roads through town. And so truly the village needs to look to them as a partner and, is taking the right steps to encourage that to go in the right direction. And so this was something too we shared last night at our community meeting, but we wanted to highlight, we thought this was such a like just a really great synthesis of something that you all have worked on. So this is not new to you, but the vision statement we want to capture in our plan and make sure that what we're seeing and adding to it in terms of values that we hear from the community are really upheld. And those are the through lines for our plan. We want to make sure that those are informing all of the goals and actions that you see drafted in front of you. And so in terms of kind of the values that are upholding the vision, we see these safe, healthy, affordable places for people to live and to raise their families. The emphasis on family was a really important one that we heard in almost every conversation we had. People recognize the uniqueness of local entrepreneurs and the local economy. There's a lot of talent here and creativity, and like truly it's impressive like what can get done when the community comes together around that. And so beginning to support that more where we can. They see it as, or this is more kind of a visioning in terms of values, but being well connected and having those options for safe movement through the community, whether it's in a car or walking or biking, getting to local destinations. And then finally making sure, and this is really ringing true in the vision statement, protecting and conserving the natural resources that are the foundation, and for a lot of people, the reason why they live here and stay here and call it home. The next one kind of highlights it. So yeah, you could jump to the next one, Valerie. And so this is a similar version of what we had printed for folks to comment on. We wanted to highlight all of the plan elements, which admittedly can be a little bit overwhelming when you're thinking about, okay, we've got to pull together all these pieces of the puzzle and somehow make sense of it for Questa. And then pulled out from that some actions that might be tied to those elements. So in terms of land use, we know that updating the zoning code is a priority that the village is already working on. Housing goals and actions may look like rehabbing existing housing, making sure that people have the resources to do so, or looking for new housing development opportunities, in particular with partners like the county. Now that we have a little bit more of a robust system going on there with the Taos Affordable, I'm going to get the language wrong on this. There we go. Yeah, they're working on their strategy. So making sure the community is aligned with the county and partners on that one is really important. And then you can see examples for the other elements around there as well. And this is something where I know you didn't have a ton of time to look over this, but some of the draft actions and goals that you see on that sheet in front of you should be tied to this and are certainly not perfect. And so we're at that point where we're trying to critique these, refine them. We've already heard a lot from the community meeting, as I mentioned, but as you're looking through those, if you have comments or ideas for what we need to change, what needs to be shifted, what should be uplifted, that's kind of what we're looking for feedback on at this point. So I was going to say no pressure, but if you're looking through that and you see things that jump out at you or you see something that's missing, I think that's what I'm looking for feedback on. So I would maybe make sure I didn't miss any slides. I think there was one more. Do you want to? Oh, yeah. One more we were going to talk about next steps, but I think we'll pause on if you guys have any feedback on those, just off the cuff here.
Just thank you for all of your hard work and visiting with all the people and helping us with our job, actually. So, and creating this, helping us create this vision and getting the feedback from the people that you can come to our meetings. Sometimes we see them on the street, but thank you for the great work you're doing with this.
Any other questions? Comments?
This is the first I'm seeing it, but also I
Yeah.
probably have some comments.
Definitely. I was going to say, we'll send you a digital format as well, so you don't have to rely just on the paper comments. And our expectation is to give you a full draft plan for review by the 3rd week of September. So stay tuned for that.
You. Next, we'll move to public comments. So it's the policy of the governing body to accept public comment. Because your issue is not on the agenda, the governing body cannot immediately respond, but may direct staff to address issues at a future council meeting. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me take a minute, Mayor and Council. Karen very nicely passed out some flyers for me a little earlier. I just wanted to keep you advised of what's happening at your library. First of all, you had the Twirl flyer, which is September 13th. As you know, Twirl comes from Taos, does programs for us that the Friends of the Library pay for once a month during the school year so that the kids can have some really quality fun and educational time on one Friday during the month. The other flyer that you received was the historical images that we're going to be having at the library. That's our next art exhibit, actually. And we framed about 25 of the photos that came from the Collier and Lee collections from the Library of Congress. So we'll be showing those. Esteban is going to be here to help us with that. Robin Collier, whose dad was one of the photographers, will be here. And the main focus of this is to get the community to identify who are these people and where are these buildings. You know, we're kind of losing the people that can give us those details. And we really love your support and getting people to come out and help us do that. We're going to have some local foods. And if you want to contribute any local foods, you're welcome. It's going to be a good time. That exhibit will be up through the end of November. And if you were at the art fair, you saw we had the smart board set up and we had a looped showing of those photos. And already one person has said, that's me. And it's kind of like, that's what we want to hear. So that's all I have to say this evening. And I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Nicholson. And anyone else for public comment? Anyone calling for public comment? Post public comment at 6:28. Next item is action item, discussion, consideration, decision, Taos County MOU Questa EMS.
Mayor and council, we had received this MOU a few weeks ago, but it did not have the amount on it. So we requested that the amount be put on there. It's on the second page. It's $150,000 for the year. This is assistance for to pay for salaries for our EMS department in Taos County. It is down from $200,000 from last year. It was $200,000 last year. This year it's going to be $150,000.
So we've had a lot more calls. Have we not?
We have had several calls, more calls, but that was a temporary thing for the $200,000. It wasn't going to stay there for a long time. We knew that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Gallegos. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Gonzalez. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Next item is discussion, consideration, decision, acceptance of DFA fire protection grant.
Mayor and council, we had brought this to you last meeting for approval. You had several questions. We do have Chief Reynel Sanchez Cordova on the meeting to answer your questions. I did send her them earlier so that she would be prepared. I did include this big sheet for estimated salaries based on our conversation earlier today. I'll turn it over to Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Please excuse my absence tonight and not being there. As most of you maybe remember, last year we had House Bill 2 that was before our Senate, and the House that was for recruitment and retention of firefighters and helping fire departments get paid firefighters for their departments. They did have a grant process which I applied for. We were awarded the grant. And with this grant, what I propose to do is hire a couple, actually, I would like to hire 4, but I would go for the minimum of 3 firefighters. 3 being the magic number because we need 3 people to man an apparatus in case of a fire. I have hourly rates that Ms. Shannon, I think, has given to you. I would like the cadet to start at 17, of the EMT basic, 18, an EMT intermediate, 19, and an EMT paramedic at 20. I equip these rates because they are gonna have to go through fire classes and get their fire certs. As well as I want them all to be EMT certified. The other question we had was, will they be full-time, part-time, or temporary? The timeline I'm thinking of is from 8 to 5 right now. During the day, it's kind of a crapshoot of who we have to help me out during fires. Right now, since I've been out of work for a little bit, it's kind of scary as to who is going to answer the call. I do have one firefighter that is not at work right now and has been answering the calls, but that's only one person that's not able to sustain a fire truck or not able to go in and search for a victim if there is one. There's not enough people to man an apparatus at this point. So what I propose to do is start it out 8 to 5. That helps us out with getting through when everybody's at work, and then we still do have our volunteer firefighters that can help on nights and weekends. So the schedule will be 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, or if we have a little bit of flexibility, we can work with the schedule as I can make it work, at least from Monday through Friday. For the long-term sustainability for the employees, last year we got, we were graciously given from the county a gross receipts tax, which was for fire and EMS. And what I had told Ms. Shannon was to split the gross receipts tax in half. Half goes to EMS and half goes to fire. And that's what we've been doing. What I have wanted to do is bank that money until we have to start sustaining our own budget. And if we have to move that money around from halfway to EMS, and halfway to fire to help sustain our firefighters, then I would, be willing to give, up some of the money from EMS, the EMS side to sustain the fire side in this, because we do have supplemental income, for EMS with, well, wildland fire deployments. I think we would be okay split or giving the money to fire to be able to sustain this project. And I'll stand for any comments if you guys have any, or questions.
Mayor, Ms. Sanchez, Jason, regarding the amount of money that, you're looking to get the firefighters, paid, compared to tell us where we at?
Are you asking, the comparative rates?
Yes, yes, I'm sorry, yeah, yes, the per hour comparative rates, yes.
I don't know the answer to that, but I can research it and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sanchez as well. I had a question, last time when we had our meeting, regarding, when this 3 years is up, do we foresee that we're able to sustain the firefighters, without this funding?
So with the, I asked Ms. Shannon to do, a little calculation based on the different rates that I gave her. If we had 4 firefighters, one a cadet, one a basic, one an intermediate, and one a paramedic, the amount of money that we would need for our budget is, $283,740. The amount that we got from the grocery receipts tax this last year was $265,222.91. That gives us a deficit of $17,784.49. Not every person would be at the level of, intermediate or paramedic right away. So it gives us a little bit of wiggle room, to figure out the deficits. And as I said before, if we need to move the grocery receipts money to fully fund the fire and not give any to the EMS, I'm fully okay with doing that. Or figuring out another, revenue stream to be able to sustain these firefighters for a while.
Thank you. And one more question, Ms. Sanchez. Do we have, individuals that are interested in being hired as firefighters for Questa?
I do have some that are interested, and it might bring in some others from other places also that could be interested also.
I think looking at the numbers that Ms. Shannon provided for us, and if we're looking at 3 firefighters, it's still gonna be less than what the GRT is. I guess my question to you, Councilor Jaramillo, and I'm gonna ask you, and tell me if you don't want to answer this, but I'm gonna ask you to put your other hat on. And how long into the future do you, I guess on the GRT, the county GRT for fire and EMS, is that into perpetuity or does it have a sunset date?
Taxes in perpetuity, but, it's up to the county. decide to provide funding to municipalities. It's not set in stone.
Is there an MOU or something in place saying that right now it's set in stone at least for the next 3 years?
No, there's just cost sharing resolutions. The fiscal year we're currently operating in, we would honor the percentages that we costed.
And as you're well aware, I mean, it doesn't only benefit the village of Questa, it also benefits the county as well. Having paid firefighters means that we can go out and help our county districts. Because as well as we're lacking, they're also lacking with people who have to work during the week. People that have jobs and aren't able to volunteer during the week. This just gives us an added security to know that somebody is going to be there to answer the call when the page goes off or something. But it also gives us, with them being PMP certified, if our primary ambulance is out on a call, there's a secondary ambulance, then it gives us somebody to answer the call. The secondary call, it's just a security blanket all around.
And I think even with what Councillor Jaramillo said, I think it still gives us the opportunity, even if they don't, the county doesn't approve that, to approach the county again and ask them for at least the funding to match what these salaries would cost. I would hope that that would be an opportunity, since our residents are paying the GRT as well into the county tax rate.
And we have a year, 2 years to come up with different avenues of revenue to sustain this if the grocery receipts isn't able to help us out. It gives us a little bit of time to be able to look for other revenue, which I'm fully able to do.
I think, Councillor, this allows us the opportunity to have our fire department out there doing pre-plans. The other thing I think we could do with this is adopt a fire code, and they can start doing more inspections, more code inspections, new buildings. We have a couple of, and I don't want to say their names, I'm not going to say their names, but businesses that sometimes, I know they're in violation of fire code because they're stacking too much stuff in the aisles and there's no way to get around. And fire code would allow, with these employees, they could, and once we adopt fire code, that will allow us to have them actually go in there and enforce some of that fire code and keep our people safe. That's basically what I think the biggest opportunity that I can see that here. Maybe it's not the biggest, but it's one of the bigger opportunities than doing pre-plans. That way, if you're not familiar with pre-plans, but the fire department would go into these businesses, kind of look at all the chemicals that they have in there, look at all their emergency exits, look at if they're sprinkled, they'll document all that. And that way, if they ever do have fire or emergencies there, they can go in and they go in knowing what's in there already.
Also, it gives our trucks an opportunity to be looked at daily instead of whenever we have time as volunteers. It will keep up regular maintenance of not just our fleet, but also the building. As we all know, the building's in much need of some fixing up, and I will apply for the fire marshal's grant within a couple of days here, but it'll have somebody there to be able to look at different things that I just don't have the time to get to, with everything, with all my other duties that I have. So,
Hang on, one more question. So thinking about this, Ms. Sanchez, so the two individuals that will be manning the truck that day, they're gonna be staying at home base the entire day, correct?
it would be at least a minimum of 3, and they would be based out of the fire department for their shift.
Any other questions, council?
I have no questions, thank you. The ones I did, you already answered, so, I appreciate that. The continue all the hard work that you're doing, and, you know, my main concern was you seeking funding to be able to keep up with the additional people, so, I am just very proud of the job that you do in that department. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the DFA fire protection grant.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Gonzalez, second by Councilwoman Gallegos. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Thank you all, I appreciate it.
Thank you for answering our questions there, Ms. Sanchez.
Next item is matters from the administrator.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a new MVD clerk.
Nice.
The background check cleared through. He's already doing the preliminary training. And he will be, after he finishes those certificates, he will be coming into the office and doing the regular training online, and then working with Ms. Sarah Trujillo, who's the supervisor, to do the training with hands-on with the people. We anticipate him probably coming in next week. She did have an MVD inspection last week, and it went very well. Of the 21 items on the inspection list, there were only 2 items where she had to follow up on. One of them was having detail for the MVD clerk on site. Date of birth, date of hire, social security number, employer ID number, address. She had some of that information, but not all of it. So now she will make sure to have all of it on the next follow-up inspection. The other thing was a sign that's pretty detailed. It says that the MVD is operated by the Village of Questa for the state of New Mexico, and it has language in there that says if you have questions, please call the Village of Questa, and it gives phone numbers and who to contact like that. The sign was ordered, but it was not here on time for the inspection. So she will work with Ms. Vigil to reorder that sign and get it in place. What she has to do is set it up and take a picture of it and send it to them, pictures of the 2 items, and then they will clear the 2 items. On your desk there is an invite from the Latier Volunteer Fire Department for their event that's coming up. We had a meeting last night for planning, and they wanted me to make sure that you were all personally invited. The audit is ongoing. On your desk is a letter from me requesting that you fill out the related party questionnaire, put it in the envelope and seal it, and we will mail it on your behalf to the auditors. So if you could take care of that soon, that would be great. And the last thing I have is, this is my new office over here in the corner.
Oh, man. You got the motor boss.
And now that we have a finance clerk, and she's catching on really, really great. I'm so excited to have her here. She's doing a lot of things already in the short time that she's been here on her own. She's picking up things. So she needs to work in her office and keep things locked up, as a finance clerk should. And so I'm moving in here, able to meet with staff, able to meet with constituents. I had Mr. Farmer in here today. He came by and asked a couple questions, and so we sat here and we talked, and we had our leadership team meeting in here yesterday afternoon, so it's an open space. Chief Montes said he would like an office this big.
Can you, now that you mentioned Mr. Farmer, can you give the council an update on
Yes.
House Bakes?
We have, construction is starting at House Bakes on the addition. We did have a snafu where there was a live gas line, natural gas line running through where they were gonna put the ramp for the new entrance. And so that gas line has to be moved. So we had to get people to come out here, mark the line. They didn't even have it on their list that it was a live line. But Mr. Baca came out and they worked out a plan to move the line. It will cost the village $2,463.26. I signed the agreement with them today, and we will issue a check tomorrow, and I will deliver it to Taos, and they will put us on the list. They said first they said it would be a couple months, but now he says it won't be that long. So Mr. Farmer's question today was, are they gonna be able to pour cement by October before the snow flies? So it looks like it is gonna happen. So we're excited about that. Any more questions?
I wanted to just give them an update on House Bakes and that their plan is what the plan is.
I understand. Right now, he has about 8 people working. They will not be bringing back production to this area. It is cost effective to have it elsewhere, but they will keep the building for distribution. All the space where all their equipment was for doing the mixing and the baking and all of those types of things is now inventory. They have pallets and pallets of inventory in there, or they bake the things, then they bring them over here. When they have the orders ready, then a big semis come in here, load them and take them out and distribute them where they need to go to fulfill those orders. So it will be now a distribution plant. He says that it'll never be a production plant again, not in this area, but they will maintain distribution from here.
And they also intend to hire.
They like to hire a few more people when they have the extra space and can do more. No promises on how many though.
I just thought, Counselor, that you all needed to know that because I'm sure you're getting the questions about House Bakes. I know I did get them, what's going on, and there's rumors about them, and I think it's better that Ms. Shannon set the record straight, and I asked her to meet with Mr. Farmer and get that straight for us.
There, so Ms. Shannon, can you give any indication as to how long it will be a distribution plant? I mean, or is it gonna be like indefinite?
He said long-term,
Really?
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, they like it for distribution. They are now delivering across the country. I saw them in Florida, House Bakes bars in Florida. So they have them all over. So this is kind of a good hub for them to go all over.
Any other questions for Ms. Shannon?
No question.
Next item is matters from our attorney. He's not on, so I would ask that we table this. I would also ask that if you're all okay with him not being on every meeting. He usually checks with me beforehand, and if there's nothing attorney related, I'll usually tell him it's okay that you don't get on.
We have to table that item?
We should have removed it probably, but I didn't. Skip it since he's not here. So that brings us to our second to last agenda item is matters from mayor and council.
Here I have one of my coworkers at Granite has requested to use the volleyball field. So they're doing baseball. So he volunteered his time, it took him 3 hours to go and he mowed the field so that they could play. Let you guys know that we do have time and equipment. For some field. And they will keep it up as long as the weather permits and they'll be
I think that's great, Counselor, and I'm glad that they helped it. It's a public park, so you're more than welcome to use it. I think it's underutilized, actually. I think it's a nice place to have a picnic or play basketball or baseball, so. But it's even better that they're helping us maintain it.
Yes,
So thank that coworker.
I will.
So we heard back from DOT on the crosswalks. They are gonna order the stuff for the light that has to go with the crosswalk, like the little beacon lights that somebody had to push to get the crosswalk. He actually emailed me and Jake yesterday. So that will be happening. He did look at all the signs in town, Councilor Gonzalez, that you took pictures of, and he realized that they were redundant and there were signs that don't need to be there, so they're gonna be removing some of those, which is great. They,
Bless you.
they will be doing the crosswalks, the pedestrian crosswalks in town as well, so updating that. And we still haven't let them know if we wanna do the flashing lights. I think it's probably a good idea just to do them.
Maintenance, run out of maintenance, report.
We could get, that's what Jake was gonna work on, trying to get a hold of another municipality that has them, that way we can figure out what it's gonna cost us annually in
Of
maintenance.
course, yeah.
So that's kind of where we're giving them a yes or no answer. We are planning to do a business forum on September 16th for all our business owners. So we have one meeting between here and there, but there's a few things we want to discuss with the business owners, bring them in, kind of see how they feel about some of the projects we're doing, get some of their input, so on. We haven't sent out invitations for that, but we will be doing that soon. And I think that's it. There was one other thing I could bring up. The Water and Natural Resources Committee is wanting to do one of their committee meetings here in Questa in September. So we're trying to find a location for them to do that. It would have to hold about 30 to 40 people and kind of meeting style, and it has to have Wi-Fi. So if you think of anything, let me know. And I think that's it for now, unless anyone else has anything. Members of the public, thank you for coming tonight. Councilors, thank you for being here. Staff, thank you for being here. We'll adjourn at 6:59. A little lighter, Councilor.